people get really worked up about calendars. And this next story is one great example of that. You're going to learn about the phantom time hypothesis, which says we're currently in the 18th century. And that'll give you a little more historically agreed upon calendar knowledge, if you will. And the phantom time hypothesis came from a German historian in 1986, and he claimed the years 614 to 911 AD never happened. Here's the evidence. Not enough documents were produced from that period, and important historical figures of the time, like Charlemagne and Alfred the Great, either existed at different points in time or were totally fictional. This huge leap in history's timeline may have been a result of some confusion when Pope Gregory XIII switched from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar starting in 1582 AD, which I'll get to, where there was a discrepancy of at least 10 days. Maybe there was a misinterpretation of documents somewhere along the line, as forged historical documents aren't necessarily rare. Or maybe it was no accident at all.
Dun, dun, dun.
The leading theory as to why this whole thing would happen is, are you ready for this? Is that Pope Sylvester II and the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III thought it would be cool to say they ruled during the year 1000 AD. By the way, most academics write this theory off. Sorry, conspiracy theorists. Okay, but now to some real history and some literature sprinkled in. I was really excited about this story because right now, in actual real life, I'm reading a book called Mason and Dixon by Thomas Pynchon. It is a fictional story of Charles Mason and Jeremiah Dixon and their adventures around the time they surveyed the Mason-Dixon line that later became the border between the North and the South in the U.S. Now, I mention a fictional book because it references a lot of real-life events, including that switch from the Julian to the Gregorian calendar. So the Gregorian calendar was a modification of the Julian, and it was introduced in 1582 by the Pope, like I mentioned. At first, only Catholic countries adopted it, and England held out and did not join in until 1752. This is our present calendar system, and it removed the leap year 3 times every 400 years from the Julian calendar. It also does a better job at keeping the summer solstice on June 21st. The switch happened in England in 1752 because that's when England and the eastern part of America started seeing the summer solstice arrive on June 10th, hence the need for an 11-day edition. There's your real history fix, and a bonus book recommendation, by the way, because there's a hilarious scene where people are in a bar arguing about the 11-day, and there is a lot of historical evidence that many people in England were really upset by the 11-day switch. Some people mistakenly believed their lives would be shortened by 11 days. People are also unhappy and suspicious at the moving of saints' days and holy days, and people objected to the imposition of what they saw as a popish calendar. There's a bit of a historical rumor that there were riots around the give us our 11 days idea back in England back in the day. But imagine like right now if governments stopped daylight saving time. Just imagine the conversations you would have with your friends.
Right. I mean, I know what kind of conversations I have with my friends when they change the Facebook design. So, yeah, I think it's about the same.
Yeah, I mean, a few hundred years ago, talking about changing days in the calendars.
It's a big deal.
Also, not a lot else going on.